I would like to introduce a friend, colleague, partner of mine, Dr. Cecil Gray. He is the founder of the National Faculty. He's a longtime friend of mine. I've known him for 50 years, more than 50 years. And he's a man of integrity. That's the first thing I'll say about him. And when you can say that about a friend, you're saying a big thing. Dr. Gray is a graduate of UVA with his bachelor's. He got his master's in theology. He went to Temple. He was part of the first graduating group of doctoral students in the African American Studies program, or Africana Studies, was it?
All of the above.
Okay. And he is here to talk about a program that he has founded, and he has been working throughout the country in various places for several years. He would like to bring that program to Tuskegee, and he's going to give us some information about the program, and he's going to give us some information to help us through this situation we're going through right now. There's no need to tell us about a program if you're not going to give us some information we can use through the program now. So, without any further delay, I'd like to introduce Dr. Cecil Gray.
My name is, again, Cecil Gray. I appreciate the opportunity to share with you all. And to been doing this a long time, and while we could say for several years, it really started when I was born. I'm out of a place called Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and more precisely Palmer's Crossing, which is outside of Hattiesburg. And I grew up. I was born into a family that was deep into the freedom movement of the 1960s. My mother is one of the founders of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, along with Fannie Lou Hamer, Annie Devine, Lawrence Guyot, Aaron Henry, and others.
What was Mom's name?
Victoria Gray, and then later Victoria Gray Adams. And near the end of her journey, she said, I've lived long enough to use all my names. So Victoria Jackson, that's her name, that's her birth family. Victoria Jackson Gray Adams, and she also was on the national board of SCLC, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, while Dr. King was president. Reverend Abernathy, Andy Young, all those folks were part of it. Ms. Dorothy Cotton. And then also she did work with SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Yes, sir. So again, I was born into that, was saturated with that, and while there was no directive that I be into any of that, as the journey unfolded, it has happened that I too am very much involved with the community, love people, and love the work, and really the service of doing all that I can to create a better world and better lives as people make this journey called life. What I'd like to talk with you about today, it really has a number of different facets, and we talk about it different ways depending on the context. But lately, what we've been doing since 2019, we adjusted the work, and we're doing something that's called Why Being, and also Wah Being. And that's W-H-Y and then B-E-A-M, and then Wah, W-H-A, and then again B-E-A-M. And what those letters represent is this: holistic health for youth, body, emotions, and mind. And then again, holistic health for adults, body, emotions, and mind. And so what we do, it's really about life skills. You know, here we are, we find ourselves on Earth, we find ourselves here in Tuskegee, up north, down south, out south to the west, out south to the east. You know, here we are, wherever we are, and we have to make this journey. We have to make the journey. And the work that we do is we share information and life experiences to help people navigate the life journey effectively and with integrity. And while that sounds good, I want to break it down very quickly. A lot of people, or some people in life, are effective. They know how to keep the bills paid. They know how to keep the lights on. The gas is good. The phone bill is good. But they're not necessarily people of integrity. They may be lying, cheating, stealing, killing, whatever. And then we, on the other side, we have people who have integrity. They're honest, they're sweet, they're nice. They love Jesus, they love Prophet Muhammad, they love God. You know, they're good people. But they may not have the skills, right, to keep the light bills on, to keep the gas bill paid. So they're loving and sweet, but they're not effective in life necessarily. And so again, our work is we equip people, enable people to make the life journey effectively and with integrity. So you're getting it done. You're keeping up with all your responsibilities, all your obligations, and you didn't hurt anybody doing that. You didn't cheat, you didn't steal, you weren't stepping on top of people. You got it done the right way. And so again, it's really life skills. There are three major pillars to our work: culture, history, and spirituality. And I want to really start with that last one because I think that's very important everywhere, and certainly here in Tuskegee. We say spirituality because while a lot of people, maybe even most people, are still Christian, everybody isn't. And so we want to be able to reach as many people as we can. So we honor Christianity, as well as Islam, as well as Judaism, Hebrew Israelites, 5% Nation, Hinduism, Buddhism. We honor those traditions. We honor those systems because that's real for somebody. And part of my thing as a person, who I am and how the Creator has made me, is one of my core life tenets is this: people, all people are precious.
And Doc,
all people are precious.
If you really are in touch with yourself,
yes, sir,
and if you really are in touch with that universal God,
yes, sir,
and if you're in touch with people, well then all of those things are a little bitty part of you anyhow,
yes,
isn't
sir. Yes, sir.
Aren't they?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
If you just think about it, yes, sir. And so that's spirituality, and that's a big deal for everybody. And I think people are starting to get it more with this coronavirus 19 or C19. People are starting to pick up on all the money can't fix it. Weapons can't fix it. Big banks can't fix it. This thing is going to be fixed by scientists in the laboratory. And I'm going to just add this with some inspiration from the Supreme One. That's how this is going to be fixed. Yeah, because if money could do it, it would be fixed, right? And certainly people are trying to fix it that way, but you can't fix a medical and a health problem, right? With finances. It's kind of like if I'm going to catch water coming out of the sky, and I intend to catch all of it with my hands. I'm going to have to get some buckets. I'm going to have to get some big containers. I'm going to have to get something else to do that. You can't fix a health problem by throwing money at it while people are dying. We're up to what, 60, 70 something thousand people. They're saying maybe 90,000 during just the month of June, 3,000 a day for the month of June. That's hard. But anyway, so people are getting into spirituality. It's like my money's good, but I got to think about the rest of this thing. So spirituality, that's a major part of what we get at. The matter of history. Knowing history is one of, if not the most important things as we make this journey called life. When you know history, you're aware of what has happened before, so that as we live in the present, right, if there are new twists and turns, new obstacles, new challenges, if you know history, you got something to draw on to help navigate the current situation.
Okay, now you just dropped a key word there.
Yes, sir.
And that's know.
Yes, sir.
Because if you just think you know history, and if you're just surfacely dealing with history, you're not really into from whence you came, are
yes,
you?
Sir. Well, Marcus Garvey made it very clear. He was very succinct. He said a person or a people without a knowledge of their history is like a tree without roots. And everybody knows that tree is sitting over there. This tree is sitting right here. If there's no root system underneath there, the first wind that comes, it's going to blow. It's going to fall. But given the root system, the wind can come, the rain can come, the storm can come. It'll hold up. And so history is so key. Again, you can see a trick when it's happening. It's like, oh, this right here is like back in the day. This right here is like, centuries ago. And so history is key. And if you know how to teach it, if you have a good enough grasp of it, whereas a lot of people say, I don't like history, it's boring. If you know how to teach it, they'll love it. And we know some things about history. And then culture. One of the ways we talk about culture, we say that the culture of a person or the culture of a people is the glue of the people, right? If you have a group of people and they don't understand culture and their particular culture, then what you really have is a population, right? Over against a people. Population, that's just numbers. But a people, and when we talk about culture, that's like what you eat, how you eat, how you dress, the way you walk, the way you do your hair, the way you sing, the way you dance. It's culture. And we're not talking about any culture being better than any other culture, but we're talking about the importance of culture and the centrality of culture. Again, let me give a quick example. We've gone through, many names along the way. We've been, I'm going to just say, somebody called us Trigger. Then later on we became colored. Later on we became Negro. At some point we became Afro-Americans. At some point we became African-Americans. Sometimes people today just say we are African people, or people of African descent. And each one of those things has a history behind each one of those terms. But
you sure are nice, because you missed that big old N-word one.
I started with Trigger. I said Trigger.
that set us back and demean us to the max, but go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm trying to do the right thing on camera. So if you want to do it, I'll go with it. But I'm trying to be right. Yes, sir. But so this understanding of the culture. For example, when we say culture, because I do a thing sometimes for us, I said, let's talk about Asian people for a minute. Tell me when you think of Asian people, what do you think of? Rice, rice. Right, group people who do a lot as a group. The group is still very much holding together, right? Technology. You might be starting to think about computers and Sony and Panasonic and LG and all of that. You might be thinking about Toyota and Lexus. But Asian culture. When you think Asian people, there are certain things that pop up. Again, rice, the food. The technology, some of the work that the people do.
Manicure shops.
Manicure shops, there you go. Pedicures and manicures, Okay, so let's shift. Let's think about Latino culture. You say, well, you're going to look at some cars that might be sitting low on the ground. You're going to see a lot of colors. There's a certain kind of music that starts. You're thinking about the cha-cha and the salsa and such. Tacos and burritos, all right? That's culture. And so when you come to people of African descent, right, watch this. So what do you think of when you think black culture? And depending on who you're working with, you're going to get prison, don't respect their elders, going to jail all the time, all of this crazy stuff. But that's not the culture. That's a distortion of the culture. Because I like to tell people, the drug thing. In Africa, there has never been a scourge of drugs. You can't go back in African history and say, oh, right here, this is when the people on the continent of Africa were just bugged out on drugs. It's not there. So when people of African descent show up where this drug thing seems to be a part of the culture, no, it's a distortion of the culture, right? Perfect people, no. But and you're talking about a group. We think Asia's in a group. There was nobody more group-centered and all about the group than people of African descent. Mom, grandma, grandpa, granddaddy, aunts, uncles, cousins, everybody. We used to all live in the same space, across the yard, across the road, up the road, down the street. And it was always about respect. It was always about yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, ma'am, no, thank you, yes, sir, thank you, please. That's the culture, pre-distortion. So it's very important to understand that some of what we're looking at now, it's not the culture. It's the culture distorted. And so then our work, when we understand that, then our work is to erase the distortion, to straighten the distortion out, right? To get it back to a healthy place. That's what we have to do. But so culture is very important. The music, when you think about a heavy bass beat, that's us. A heavy bass beat, that's us. Whether it's drums or that boom, boom, Brothers Johnson, some of y'all know about that. Who Sly's cousin? Larry Graham. Bring it up to now, and now the hip hoppers, the rappers, Tupac used to use a lot of bass, right? But that bass, that drum beat, that's our culture, and dancing, nobody in the world dances better than us. Everybody dances, but everybody also knows that people of African descent dance the best.
We brought it.
Amen on that.
And laughter, that's the part about everybody in the world laughs, but nobody laughs like us. Because I said if laughter was mud, we'd be all in it. Because we love to laugh, and that's whether we in church, that's whether we on the corner doing what we ain't supposed to do. Wherever we are, we love to laugh. We get all into it, the whole thing. But anyway, those are some cultural things. But anyway, so with those three tenets, spirituality, history, and culture, that's our foundation. That's the base, and then we build from there. What I like to do very quickly, Chief Frazier, is just walk us through, kind of quickly, one of our sessions. How we do this? Well, let me just stop for a minute. I want to talk about the national faculty. Dr. Barnes mentioned that. The national faculty, that's a group of my colleagues who are in different places around the country, and we can we either come into a place and do our work, whether that's monthly, quarterly, weekend, or compress it into 4 days, or whatever the timeline is. There's a Dr. Howard Hall. He's a psychologist and psychiatrist at Case Western Reserve University and Rainbow Babies Hospital for Pediatrics in the Cleveland, Ohio area. Dr. Sheila Jackson out of Prince George's County in Maryland. She's one of the key leaders in the school system there. Dr. Kamal Johnson, again another psychologist out of the Northern Virginia area. And then myself, Dr. Gray. And what we do, so we come in and we work these sessions with either youth or adults, and periodically we can bring them together. So the learning is happening that way. But and what that's about is anything that you teach to young people, if possible, if there's any way possible, you need to also teach it to the adults. Otherwise, the young people can get some good information. We even get to the place where we start to see behavioral change. But in some situations, if the parents aren't getting that same information, delivered in a style that works for them, if they're not getting the same information, they can end up working against the growth that the young people are starting to demonstrate. And so that's why we work it both for the adults and the youth. Also relative to national faculty, while we have our core team around the country, and again we can come in and come in to whatever location, we also work it this way. Let's say we're here in Tuskegee doing the work. We could bring the core faculty in, the national faculty. We also work it this way. There have to be people in this community who love young people. There have to be people in this community who love adults. Surely there are some people who are already here who we can incorporate into the national faculty. And what that does as far as the work on the ground in Tuskegee, it accelerates our ability to be effective. Because anytime I'm standing up here, y'all getting ready, y'all getting to know me over the internet, over this electronic kind of introduction. But if I'm doing work, and then there's also Dr. Params and Dr. Shakir, Yabode,
And don't forget the superintendent of schools.
Superintendent
Love
Dr. Brooks. So when there are people on the ground who we share the work with, then right away you can pick up more quickly in our credibility. And again, you're seeing people who you already know and trust, and so we can share with them how we do what we do. And we also have some elder scholars around the country who are still here with us, who can vouch for our work over these years. Again, I've been doing this work formally since 1991, and right now, again, we're calling it Y-Beam. Other times we've called it the Rites of Passage Shule. Other times it's life skills. So again, the header can change. We adjust for the context. We work with schools. We work with school systems. We can work with a family reunion. We work with the churches, the masjid, the mosque, the temples, prisons, juvenile facilities. I did a lot of work back in Philadelphia with what's called Lifers, Inc. Those are brothers in the prison who are going to be there for life. And they created themselves a legal structure, Lifers, Inc. And we go in, and work with them. And then they have us. They give us access. They draw in the younger brothers, and so forth. But so that's. But I wanted to talk about that for a minute. And the national faculty, everybody, our core team, everybody has either a PhD or an educational doctorate. But more importantly than that is we also have life experience. Right, the core faculty. These are people who I've been knowing since at least the late 70s, early 80s. So it's a long journey. We knew each other when we weren't doctors, and we all have a love again for our people, for all people, because this work, we can shift it in a minute. For white folks, for Latinos, for Asians, for a multicultural group, we can shift the work. You just make some adjustments. That's Verona Kia, the matter of life experience, because I know I've seen too many people with PhDs and whatever other kinds of degrees who cannot make information accessible and meaningful. and useful to real people living real life. And we're good at that. With humility, we say that.
And let me stop you on that
Yes,
for a
sir.
second. Because I'm watching people today with this COVID-19.
Yes, sir.
Some with no degrees, some with BSs, some with PhDs, and all of us seem to be totally discombobulated with this virus.
Yes, sir.
I don't care what kind of degrees we
Yes,
got,
sir.
because it's unknown.
Yes, sir.
So now, how would your group get to helping people, regardless to their status in life,
Yes, sir.
come to grips with this is a new day, a new way, and we have to go inward to deal with the inner self,
Yes, sir.
as well as come out here and put on this front for
Yes, sir.
the outer self for the people. How do you guys approach something that serious?
I want to just do a little lead in, and then I'll
Go right
share.
ahead.
Part of what we do, part of how we do our work is we do our best to learn everything that we can. We go digging for the truth, the scientific truth, the medical truth, the truth that we can find in physics, biology, chemistry, sociological. We go digging for the truth, right? That's how we do our work. And then with that, we think about it, we reflect on it, and then depending again on the audience, we can structure PowerPoints, we can do DVDs, we can do in person. At this point, we're going to be doing a lot of Zooming until whenever, or open air kinds of things. But the truth is important for us. I'm coming to your question,
I got you.
but I want to push this because
Go on,
a lot
handle
of
it.
times, especially when it comes to working with young people don't have a lot of time for adults, because a whole lot of adults, I don't want to say most, I might, maybe, but I don't want to say most, but a lot of adults don't know how to talk to young people, or don't talk to young people, other than to be giving them a lot of rules, and don't do this, and you better do that, and talking down, being condescending. And young people are not trying to hear that. Okay, but if you're an adult who you do engage with young people, you do engage with youth, and you're doing your best all the time to be real and to talk truth, to share truth with them. Sometimes it's shocking for them. They're like, hold up, this grown person is talking straight. That's really like, this making sense. And after they get over the shock of one, you're engaging them at all. Two, you're telling them the truth. They'll begin to thaw, they'll begin to relax, and they'll begin to say, I want to hear some more from this brother or from this sister. So that's what we do. Now, let me say one more thing, and then I'm coming to your question.
Go right ahead.
With adults telling the truth, and anybody, but the adults in particular, that can get kind of tight. Because when you start telling the truth, contradictions have to be discussed. Inconsistencies have to be discussed. You can't tell your child, stay off of cigarettes, and stay off of drugs, and don't drink. And every time they see you, you smoking, you high, you drunk, but you can't do that. You got to be consistent. If you want them to live a better way tomorrow, then I got to live a better way today.
Absolutely.
And that's what grown folks have to do. That's what that. But anyway, so I went off, but I'm still on. Right? This is just so important, no matter the truth. Coming to COVID-19, this whole thing, this virus. My reflection on it at this point, a number of things. And I tell you, I'm telling the truth. First off, this thing is real. It's real. People are dying, right? People are dying at ridiculous rates. It's real, and it's some combination of a plague. Those who are into the Bible, whether you take it as a book of nice stories, or you take it as some kind of truth or the truth, it's a plague, because it's sweeping the globe, and it's taking out anybody. It's taking out young people. Initially they said older people, now young people, and lately they've got children who are starting to be lethargic, and they can't figure that out. And it's taken out all communities. So on a certain level, it's a plague. It hits and takes out anybody, everybody. At the same time, for me, as a thinking person, as a scholar, and just as a person that's saying, hold up, wait a minute, common sense, it's noteworthy that while it's striking everybody, it is striking people of African descent, Latinos as well. at this, again, a ridiculous rate. It doesn't make sense when you're 30% of a city's population, and then you're 70% of the cases of people who are dying. Something is wrong there. Something is wrong there. So on one level, it's a plague, for sure. And that's a phenomenon. A phenomenon is something that cannot be explained. On another level, there's something going on here where it seems to target some communities. And so, as a thinking person, I don't have the answer yet, but I got to notice that, and I got to articulate that. I can't walk past that and act like I don't see it, because again, if you're trying to reach young people or enlightened adults, they can say, wait a minute, how come he's not dealing with that right there? So here it is. You can see it as a plague, see it as something else. Here we are in it. How are we going to get through? And part of the way we get through, Chief Frazier, you've said it. We have to follow the federal government and state and local protocols. We got to stay home. We got to, to the extent that we're able, as much as possible, stay home. Home is we pray it's a safe place. It's certainly a familiar place, and our prayer that that's it's a haven. It's a place that we can shelter. Got to come out sometime. Got to go get some food. Depending, got to go to work sometime. And when
got to come out to the square and educate people.
Got to come out to the square and educate people.
That's right.
Yes,
That's right.
But I'm doing this because it's an analogy I think a lot of people can get with. This thing is so similar for those who know something about the Bible, whether you're Christian, Muslim, whoever you've read it. It's very similar. In the Bible, it talked about, there were all these plagues that were coming through Egypt, right? And then at a certain point, and those plagues were trying to get the attention, in particular of the leadership. It's like, leadership, you need to quit treating all the people the wrong way. And leadership's like, I'm the leadership. I don't even hear all of it. And so after all those other plagues, a different kind of thing came through. And the people who were trying to get through it, today we're wearing our masks, we're sheltering in place. Those who at that time were getting through it, they were told to do a few things. They said, go get a lamb. Go get a lamb, and we want it needs to be a lamb without blemish. Not 4 feet instead of 5. One nose instead of 2. And as far as you can tell, looking at it, it looks like it's okay. It's a lamb without blemish. And then take blood from that lamb. Watch this. And put a little bit over the top of the door of the house, put a little bit on the side of the door, and put a little bit on the side of the door. They're kind of like a cross. Some people today, some people do what they do. But the people were to take that blood of that unblemished lamb above the door and on each side, right? And stay home. He says, stay in the house. And then as this angel of death, as this plague, as this energy, as this sickness, as this illness comes through, it will pass over your home. It will pass over your house. It will pass over your haven. And so here, staying in place, there's a lot good in it. I stay in place. My daughter stays in place. We do, we have to go out and get food. But we're following, again, the federal government, the state and local protocols and directives. We're doing that. And how we deal with it, sir, this thing of social distancing, I'm rifting, but stay with me. That is like, sir, that's confusing. But real quick, social means together. Social means people being together. Distancing means being apart. So we're being told to be together and be apart. And so the brain can really struggle with that. But we understand what they're saying is, we want to be social. That's the natural inclination. And yet right now we need to have some distance to make sure that we stay well. There's a song that I just saw the other day, one of the elders where I come from, just sitting on the internet, and there's a young man playing the piano, electric piano, and he said, social distancing. Some of you are not listening. You got to have 6 feet. Some people say 10, 15, 20, but we got to do that. And as far as the inner self, this is a good time for meditation, for prayer, for reflection. Right now, the world is moving too fast. I'm doing too many. I'm going in all directions. Well, right now you have an opportunity to not be moving too fast. Right now you have an opportunity to not be going on. Right now you got an opportunity to be still with yourself. Be still with yourself. Read the Bible. Read the Quran. Read the Bhagavad Gita. Read the Upanishads. Read some spiritual literature. Slow down. For real. And think about
digging into ourselves with some people is a serious problem, because when honesty starts to face you,
yes, sir,
and you are looking in that mirror at yourself,
yes, sir,
and you sense all of these things that you have been involved in that was not productive for anybody. Escapism is a way of getting away from that. I don't want to hear that of myself, so get out of this mirror.
Well, this
how do we deal with that?
Back to what we said earlier. We want to be with the truth. We got to deal with the truth. Somebody said that the longest journey is the journey inward, and few are those who choose to take it. Because what you just said, Chief, when I start to really look inside of me, when I look at me and when I look back on my journey, for real, I'm going to see the best of what it's been about and the best of who I am. And I'm also going to see the most difficult parts, the worst parts, and the worst of who I am. I'm going to see all of that. But if we'll embrace all of it, if you'll embrace the best of yourself and the worst of yourself, that's the beginning of getting well. That's the beginning of getting healthy. Because now you're moving out of the facade, you're moving out of hiding and putting up false faces, not only to everybody else, but to yourself. When you start to get real with yourself, right, you're on a path to healing. You're on a path to wellness. You're on a path to wholeness. You're on a path to sanity. Because when you walk through this journey called life, telling yourself a tale, that's not sane. That's not. You're not well. Then that's part of why that's some part. That may be some part of why you're drinking too much.
Absolutely.
Why you're drugging too much. Why you doing a whole lot of other things that are not healthy too much, because you're not well and you're trying to shut it down. You're trying to what they call you're trying to self-medicate, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the self-medication. But let's also try to get well. Let's try to get well for real and not delay it, because if we keep delaying getting well, we'll die. We'll die. If we do the work of getting well, it ain't necessarily easy. It's gonna be different for different people. For some people, getting well is not gonna be that hard, because you ain't that messed up. For other people, it's gonna be a journey. It's gonna take work. It's gonna take some support. But we can get it done. But something I want to say very quickly, Chief. This thing of people and life and not being real with self. One of the things that we work with in one of our sessions is called "Who Am I and What Am I?" That's one of our sessions.
Amen.
And over these many years, we've learned that session really resonates for the young men. There's another session that we do with relationships that really resonates for young ladies and male, female, grown or younger. And then there's another that we do talking about why am I here on the earth, and that tends to work for everybody. But just for a minute, who am I and what am I? Right, and so if we had some young people here, some grown folks, I'd say, just without trying to figure out the right answer, because there's no right or wrong answer. It's about truth. We're trying to learn where we are, where we want to go, and where we can go. Who am I? Somebody said, well, I'm John Smith.
There you
I'm
go.
part of the Johnson family. I'm a Tuskegeean. Right? Who else? Who are you? And we keep digging. And well, I'm a Virgo. I'm a Leo. Okay, right. Who are you? Mm-hmm. And again, who are we? And who am I and what am I? And after everyone shares, we say we receive all that, we honor that, because part of how we do our work is we affirm everybody. If you come into the work that we do, if we're allowed to share with you the work that we do, everybody is affirmed. We affirm and appreciate and respect every person's journey, every person's life. Whoever you are, you ain't too messed up, and you ain't too righteous. We all got some growth to get.
Exactly.
Right? There's always some more to learn. And so we talk about well, who am I? And we say, well, okay, you're a Tuskegean. Okay, you're an American. And also, depending on your parentage, you might be an African American or a person of African descent, or again, European, Asian, Latino, whatever, indigenous, the original people here on this land. So who I am, right? That's like that's ancestry. As far as trying to talk about it in empirical terms, The clearest I can get in empirical terms is my ancestry, right? But a lot of people get confused between nationality, my connection to a nation, my citizenship, ancestry over against citizenship, right? Ancestry and nationality. So I am an American citizen. That's my nationality. I'm from the USA. That's my nationality. My ancestry is I'm a person of African descent. And I know a lot of people watching this tape. I know you got some Indian, you got some Choctaw and some Navajo and some Sioux and you from the Cheyenne. I know you are. I know you are. Me too. And you got some Scotch Irish, got a little bit of German blood. I know. And after all that's over, and after you done talked about it for 3 hours late at night in the dormitory and on the job and on the corner, you still a black man, a black woman, a person of African descent. How do we know that? Look at your lips. Look at your hips. Look at that hair. It's not nappy, it's ultra curly. Come on now. Look at that nose. Why is it so broad? Help you breathe better. Look at them lips. Help you kiss better. Come on, man.
Go on, tell some truth.
But so that's ancestry, right? But the other part of it is back to this thing of spirituality. We ask the young people, the grown folks, we say, here's a question. Are you a physical being on a spiritual journey? Or are you a spiritual being on a material journey? What are you? Who am I? What am I? Am I just blood and bones and cells and organs? I'm just this physical thing. And maybe I'm out here on a spiritual journey called life. Or am I this physical temple, this physical structure, this vehicle is blood and bones and muscles and tissue. But more than the physical temple, I'm a soul. I'm a divine soul made in the image of the most supreme one. Watch this. And watch this. Now stay with me. It's going to get bumpy. And at your core, you are good. I'm saying something different right here, Chief. Most people, certainly coming out of the Christian tradition, have been taught that I'm a sinner, I'm a sinner, I'm a sinner. I'm worse than bubblegum on the bottom of a roach's tennis shoe.
And I'm nothing without God.
And nothing without God. And so, yeah, we certainly there are flaws. Certainly there is error. But that same book says that in the beginning, when they were created, when at the end of that day, he said, and it was good. And when he did the human beings, he said it was very good. Come on now.
Right.
So originally, you're good. And then along the way, error, sin, distortion, contradiction comes in, right? And so part of what we do in our work, people of African descent, people who don't have a lot of resources, and people that do. But the black community, we have heard enough about brokenness. We've heard enough that we ain't no good, you ain't good for nothing, you ain't gonna be nobody, your daddy wasn't nobody, your mama wasn't nobody. We done heard enough of that.
Right.
People need to hear something. You know what? You're made in the image of God.
Absolutely.
And your possibilities are limitless. The possibility for you to do good in life, the possibility for you to have a good life, that's real. That's real. And there's something that we teach in our work. It's one of our formulas. Any of this stuff y'all take, y'all got to give me a footnote. It's called R, the letter R, right? The letter R equals the letter R equals the letter R. So we say R equals R equals R. And what those three R's represent? It represents repetition equals reinforcement equals realization. Anything that you repeat over and over, it becomes stronger. If you're telling the truth all the time, if you're telling the story all the time, if you exercise it all the time, repetition, it becomes reinforced. Repetition equals reinforcement. As it's reinforced, it becomes a habit. At first, it's hard to get up and walk a mile a day. But if you keep doing it every other day, once a week, next thing you know, it's habitual. You wake up, you can't wait to get started. Okay, so repetition equals reinforcement. Watch this, and then finally, we get realization, reality. If I say I need some muscles, if I keep doing my push-ups, if I keep doing my sit-ups, my pull-ups, if I keep at it, I'll look up one day and I got a muscle. I look up one day, Well, I ain't got a six-pack no more, but some of y'all can still get a six-pack. I had one back in the day. But that repetition, and that's a spiritual principle, and it's a scientific principle. If you keep on, trying to do the right thing, you're gonna get to where you're doing the right thing some of the time. Next thing you go, you'll be doing the right thing more of the time. Next thing you know, you're doing the right thing a lot of the time. Next thing you know, the right thing is what you're about. And so that's real. And so, but the answer to the question that we ask, am I a physical being having a spiritual experience, or am I a spiritual being having a physical experience? We say it's some of both, but at the core, we are spiritual beings. We are spiritual beings having a physical and a spiritual experience as we make this journey called life. And when we understand ourselves as spirit, right, as a divine soul, right, as good and capable of good, then life becomes very different. Like Michael Jordan could not be a superstar. LeBron could not be a superstar. Curry cannot be a superstar. Kobe, Shaq, Wilt Chamberlain, that's my man. That's how old I am. You can't be a superstar if every time you go on the court you wonder, are you going to be able to get it done?
Right.
I wonder if I'm going to get it done tonight. No. In life, right? And I'm doing the sports analogy, but in life, you got to get it in your mind. Where I come from, I can't sing, but when I was coming up, right, before we started traveling everywhere, my family, there was a song where it said, I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on Jesus, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. But I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on justice. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on having a good day, a positive day, a blessed day. But we got to get the mind. You got to get your mind made up. And once the mind is made up, once the mind gets locked in on the fact that I can hit this shot, I can do this work, I can get to work on time, I can do the work the right way all day. And once we get that moving, the life journey is going to be very different. We're going to have a very different kind of life experience, and it starts with that inner thing, Chief Frazier, of loving self. I got to love me. My black, African, or white, or Asian, or Latino, I got to love me. And when you have self-love, and then you get that self-knowledge, that cultural understanding, that understanding of history, and again, this spirituality thing, because nothing can break spirit. Watch this. You could chop my hand off. You could chop my arm off. I could lose a leg. But my spirit is not diminished. Mm-hmm. My spirit is not diminished.
Amen.
It's a drag. That's a drag to lose those limbs. But I'm still here. I'm still whole as this divine spiritual being. I can still make my prayers. I can still, put a smile out here. I can still bring joy and good things into the world. But I want to go back to the C19 very quickly because Dr. Parham's has really a structure. She's right here. She has a structure. She's right in this town. For real, need to do a lot of water. A lot of water. Some of you may notice that when this thing first broke, one of the major politicians, Pelosi, every time you would see her, she was drinking water all the time. That's about keeping the body hydrated. Why does this work to stay healthy? I don't know. Why is water wet? Why is the grass green? That's just the way it is. But drinking a lot of water right now is very important. It keeps the body clean. Air, if you can get out, far enough away from people by yourself. Ain't nothing like the Creator's air, God's air. That sunlight, nothing like it. Food, what we eat is important.
I'm glad you said that because I noticed yesterday that we had about a 20 miles per hour wind just about all day long. And I couldn't help but just walk out and assume and believe that was God sweeping Tuskegee.
Yes, sir. That's real. That's real.
That's real.
That's real. All the traditions that I know of, traditional Western medicine, preventative medicine, holistic medicine, all the different traditions, everybody says sunlight is good, fresh air is good, water is good, and again, the food matters, and that's hard right there because some of us are not able to get nutritious food, but we need it. And for those of us who are and who have access to any kind of buttons, whether city government, state, federal, or foundations, we need to do all that we can so that everybody has nutritious food.
Yeah,
Because
but see,
a candy bar can only take you so
nutritious
far,
does not mean what it costs, Doc.
Sir?
You know, a lot of people think that they have to buy it and it has to cost a certain amount for it to be good. But I found myself eating raw bell peppers yesterday,
Yes, sir.
raw onion,
Yes, sir.
and coleslaw,
Yes, sir.
and drinking that water that
Yes,
you were
sir.
talking about.
Yes, sir. You,
Nutrition needs to be redefined for some people, doesn't it?
We're over here. I don't know which way it is. George Washington Carver. The plants. It's coming out of the earth.
Absolutely.
I hope that you, whatever you do with the tape, Chief, I want to share 3 things right here that are relative. There's something called mullein. M-U-L-L-E-I-N. Mullein. It looks like mullein, but most people pronounce it mullein. You can get it in health food shops. Sometimes you can get it in the store.
It grows all over the area.
Dr. Prom says it grows everywhere. But mullein, she's an expert. She's a chemist. I'm a city dude. So I have to go in the store and get mine. But if she gets them, I try it. But mullein, I take at least 2 of those each morning and 2 of those each night. They come in just a clear capsule. Looks like dust because they just grind the plant up. Mullein. Another is called slippery elm. Slippery, like slipping, like the ground is slippery. And elm, E-L-M. And sometimes it'll be slippery elm bark. Same thing. It comes in a little clear capsule. And again, they grind up the plant so it looks like dust. Same thing. I do at least 2 of those each morning and each night. And then something called marshmallow, like marshmallows, but it's not that. It's called marshmallow root. It's a plant. And again, they grind it up, clear capsules. I take at least 2 of those every morning and every night. Those 3 herbs, right? And you can get them. You go online if you can't get them anywhere else. Those 3 herbs, they keep the respiratory system, the lungs, and the bronchial tubes clear. Things that are in there, that might be in there, they pull it out. Anything that's trying to get in that shouldn't be in there, they block it from getting in. So that's real stuff right there. And there are others, but those 3, I'm not talking about what somebody told me. I've been doing this for a few years, and I upped my intake when this thing came along. And I'm by the grace of God, I'm doing well. But I wanted to share that. But back to nutritious food, butter beans, navy beans, that navy bean thing. Lima beans. Say again?
Brother Scott Muhammad talked about the navy bean.
The navy bean doesn't rot. It doesn't rot. And mice and rodents don't want it. Okay? And that navy bean is a serious bean. And in fact, they do things with it for those who are going to be on those nuclear-powered submarines. They do things with the navy beans and water so that all the soldiers, the sailors, are treated. And that's how they can stay on those ships for months, and come out and they're not sick. That navy bean is a serious bean. So if it's doing all of that, I know it's good for right now. Greens. Greens are always an answer because greens. One of the sisters used to say back in the day that greens, lettuce, romaine, kale, spinach, that's liquid sunshine. That's chlorophyll. That's the sun, the life energy from the sun working with the soil, producing a substance that we can intake. That is liquid sunshine. Yeah, do the greens. And don't mess up and put a whole bunch of Thousand Islands on there and blue cheese and start reducing the effectiveness of it. I know you got to put a little bit, but just put a little bit. Put some cayenne pepper on there. That keeps us clean. Cinnamon is a cleanser, and it keeps the body safe on the inside. But anyway, you can sprinkle that on some of everything.
Diabetes too.
Say?
It knocks out diabetes too.
Okay.
Cinnamon does. I'm glad you're saying that because when I first started talking about the 5 pillars of self-care: nutritious food, clean water, fresh air, exhilarating exercise, and rejuvenating rest, I found that a lot of people I talked to didn't know what nutritious food was. And they were talking about how they, I eat nutritious food.
They were talking about chicken though, but go ahead.
No, it went even deeper than that, Chief. She said, well, I only had 1 pig foot today. So it's a matter of educating our people about what nutritious food really is. because it's not a matter of cutting back on the different parts of the pig you do eat. It might be about cutting the pig out.
Absolutely.
And maybe eating a lighter meat if you're going to continue to eat meat. But there needs to be a level of education around nutrition also.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Also, Chief, what we do with the young people, can do it with the grown folks too. But we talked about, information, life skills, information, to help us to, you get the head straight, then you start to feel the information. It goes from just information to, this is real. And then finally comes the behavioral change. We've learned that takes about 3 cycles. That takes about a year and a half with young people. They go through the process once. Like I said, it's like information. They start talking about, they got some new words, some new phrases. Come through it again, they start to feel it. It begins to impact them emotionally. They're like, They begin, they're getting deeper. They come through the 3rd time, and you will start to see that negative behavior, that self-destructive behavior shift. But also life experiences. That's another thing that we do. When we do this work, we build into the whole structure experiential learning, i.e. Now down here it may not be the same, but up in the cities it's taking young people horseback riding or horseback walking. They can just sit on it. Taking them rock climbing, either into a structure or out in nature. Taking them swimming, again, either inside or out with the proper supervision. But a lot of our young people have not had certain kinds of experiences that broaden life, where life opens up. Hiking, walking. These are some of the things that we do. And it makes it. How we close the work, when we do the work, we always close out with what we call the circle of affirmation. What we do there is we're in a circle, we're holding hands. And part of what that's about, sometimes young men, young ladies, they don't necessarily want to hold hands. But we make the point that, one, we're in a circle because a circle is an eternal symbol. It's a symbol of eternity. It has no beginning and no ending. And we hold hands because when you touch a person, for real, you keep touching a person, and you'll come to an understanding that you don't hurt that person. So we hold hands, we touch each other, so that helps us to get to a place where we won't hurt each other. But then we wrap it up with what we call the affirmations, and any one of us will take the lead, and then the rest of us will repeat after that person. And we close out saying, I am healthy, I am well, I am strong, we're rising up, we're moving up, stepping up to excellence, to greatness. And then we go into, I am well, I am whole, I am strong, I am beautiful, I am divine, I am sacred, I am special, I am loving, I'm lovable, I can be loved, I deserve love, I care, I'm truthful, I'm honest, I'm serious, I'm focused, I'm patient, I'm flexible, I love me and I love you, I love everybody, I like my color, I like my skin, I like my nose, I like my hips, I like my bum, my derriere, my posterior, I love me, I love me, I respect you, I respect myself, I respect you, and then we close out depending, we talk about tumalize, duara, keep our circle united. Tumalize, duara, keep our circle united. And the way I would have opened this, Chief, I'll close it. I opened with multiple greetings because you never know who you're in front of. I would have opened with Hotep, Hetapu, Assalamu alaikum, Shalom, Salam, Namaste, Alaoba, Talofa, Konnichiwa, Aloha, Mongwanani, Jambo, Alafia, Bonjour, Hola, and then we say Sawadee Kap, and what's up? That's the way we would have opened. So I'm closing that. Thank you, sir.
I'm thankful to have been able to present Dr. Gray. He's a pillar. He attempts to live his truth. He attempts to live the integrity he teaches. When we're talking about rebuilding Tuskegee, making Tuskegee a better place, taking it to its future glory, based on what we've been through, where we've come from, we've got a lot of story here in Tuskegee. Dr. Gray mentioned Dr. Carver. Dr. Carver has reached to a lot of people and drawn them here, even though he's been gone for decades. He's drawn a lot of people to this place. The energy and spirit of Dr. Carver is alive and well. So now's the time for us to start to live, start living what we believe, start actually possibly even growing your own food, growing your own herbs. And all it takes is a bucket in the kitchen. All it takes is a planter box by the door where it can get water and sunlight. That may be some of what we have to do to take care of ourselves. It may get to a point where we can't get to stores. But we're blessed right here in Tuskegee that everybody has a patch of grass somewhere, even if it's right by the porch. I have a cousin, actually he's in Florida, but he had a tomato plant growing on his porch. Trade the tomatoes with your neighbor who has greens growing. Instead of planting flowers, grow some greens, grow some spinach, grow some mullet. Start making our own herbs. We have a responsibility to take care of ourselves. We can't leave that in somebody else's hands. We have the capacity to take care of ourselves. We can grow something, we can share something, we can learn how to take care. There are so many people who know about herbs right here in this community. If you don't know who they are, I can tell you some of who they are. I don't know all of them, but I know a lot of them. I know people who know how to cook healthy food. I know people who know how to prepare food without cooking it. There are so many resources right here in Tuskegee and throughout Macon County that we have access to. So there's no reason not to get nutritious food. There's no reason not to get clean water. There's never a reason not to get fresh air here in Tuskegee. There's no reason not to get exhilarating exercise, because even though we're socially distancing ourselves from one another, there's space. We have space here in Tuskegee. Almost anywhere we go, we can at least get 6 feet so we can walk. People walk around the square in the mornings. I don't know if they still do, but they did, and we still can. And then finally, rejuvenating rest. And that's something Dr. Gray didn't talk about, but it's crucial that we get rejuvenating rest. It's crucial that we get enough rest. And this time is giving us that opportunity. People who have been working so hard for so many years, you're being forced to stay inside. You're being forced to lay down, forced to take private time, forced to relax for a change. And that doesn't mean we can get lazy. You know, this might be the time to write a book. It might be the time to email some friends that you haven't been in touch with. But that might be part of your rejuvenating. If you'd like to reach me, you can go to efficient-time@gmail.com, efficient@gmail.com. You can email me there or go to our website, efficienttime.com. I can talk about the 5 pillars of self-care. Dr. Gray can share about the national faculty. We're available. And we're here to help us grow, here to help us develop. So I want to thank you. I want to close out by saying, I wish you the best. I wish us all healing. I want us to be peaceful, productive, and empowered. Shem Hotep.